Kamusta na kayo?
Hola, hola, everyone.
What's good, everybody? My name is Nico Blitz.
And I'm Jackie Ramirez.
And welcome back to Mexipino Podcast, episode 101 Dalmatians.
Period.
Yes, sir.
I'm Corella DeVille.
Oh, okay. And Benny is the Dalmatian that we never had, but he is a multi-poo.
Yes. Anyway,
Yeah.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah,
I just realized I kept looking that way.
No, it's all good. But yeah, what's up, everybody? Hope you all enjoyed that last episode we had with Jay Cruz, our guy.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
It was a really fun one, but today is also a fun one because we're celebrating Nico's 31st birthday.
31, the big 3-1.
3-1. How does it feel, babe?
Honestly, 30s have been the best years of my life, honestly. I mean,
You've
it's been
only
30.
been 1 year.
No, but I'm saying it's been 30 and it's been 31 and it's been nothing but spectacular. Obviously have had like its ups and downs, but I think overall like 31 has just been the best.
30 has been the best.
Well, 30 has been my 30s have been the best.
Okay, all right.
But 30 has been my best. 31 should be better.
Yes. I feel like everyone, like 30s is the new like I want to say 20s, I guess. That's what I feel like. I
30s
feel
is the new 20s?
Yeah, I feel like your 30s are your new 20s because like everyone can't wait to get to their 20s, you know, when they're like a kid and whatever. And then when you actually reach your 20s, you're like, man, this fucking sucks.
Well, I feel like 20s is when people just try to go like stupid hard, especially if you weren't like, I mean, I don't condone this, right? But especially if you weren't like doing drugs or like underage drinking, right? So by the time you get like 21, like people just tend to wild out at that time.
I mean, like you said, like some people partake in underage drinking and then there's others that like wait till they're 21. But like I feel like 20s are just like party and da 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 da. And I didn't really do that in my 20s. I mean, I spent most of my early 20s in the pandemic. But I feel like just now, like people just have this, like your 30s are, it's literally like in 13 going on 30, like 30, flirty and thriving. Like it's literally what it is. Honestly, I'm scared to get to my 30s just because like it's 30, but I also can't wait because I know that whatever I'm doing now is setting up for that. And it's just, I know it's just going to be that much more better. Like by that time, hopefully, you know, like marriage, kids and house and stuff like that. So I can't wait to get to that. So that's why I think like a lot of the 30s are the new 20s.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I mean, I feel like society set us up to where like the, 20s were the 20s and you're supposed to have everything done by like, 25, 26, right? Because the idea was that you go to school or you go to college rather when you're 18, you're good by 22, or you're done by 22 and then you're good by 25.
Literally, that's how I functioned and that's how I thought like, oh yeah, I'm going to be married by 25. I'm going to have a kid by 25. I'm going to be like, I'm going to graduate college. Didn't graduate college, don't have a kid, not married. I am moved out, which is one of the many things that I wanted to do by 25, but yeah, it's just different.
I feel like for brown people, especially, like the 30s are ending up being the 20s.
Yeah.
Because the 20s is where we like really try to grind it out. And then by the time you hit your 30s is when you, for the most part, should be enjoying like, little fruits of your labor. Maybe not the peaches and the strawberries, but maybe the grapes. Maybe the grapes.
No, definitely. I feel like, and now I feel like a lot of our, like the millennials and I guess early Gen Zs, not the late Gen Zs, because I consider myself like right in between like millennial and Gen Z. Technically, I am a Gen Z, but I consider myself more a millennial. But I feel like we're more like, okay, we're really focused on ourselves.
Yeah.
Rather than anything. Like we're very much selfish people. And like I feel like that's a really big misconception of like millennials and Gen Zs is that we're like, oh, they're like the older generations look at us and say like, oh, they're selfish and blah blah blah. It's like, damn right I'm selfish, like because ain't nobody gonna take care of me but me. And I'm gonna take my vacation days. You might not have, but I'm gonna take my vacation days.
Yeah, I feel like we're just living in a different age. I mean, we are really just living in a different age to where, I think the societal norms that were put on us like even 10, 15 years ago are drastically different. I remember one time I was talking to my grandparents and then they were asking me about healthcare, and I was just like, well, I don't have healthcare. If anything, I have like the cheapest one, you know, that doesn't really cost too much, but that's all I need. And then my grandparents were like, well, what if you get a job that has like, you know, health benefits and whatnot? And then my mom quickly jumped in, and then she was just like, Dad, like, this is a new time. Like, people around Nico's age, you know, 30s, even Jackie's like mid 20s, like, we don't necessarily think about healthcare all that much. Yeah. Like, and especially in the creative field where healthcare isn't an option.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think with the career that we've chosen and the path that we've chosen in life, it's very much, you know, there's instability or instability. Instability. Okay. Instability, like, but like me, it's always been like engraved in me, like, oh, hey, you need to think about your 401k, which literally reminds me, like, I need to FaceTime my mom because she's going to tell me something about my 401k. And then there's like healthcare. And you know what's like the bunkiest, like, fucking thing?
What?
Is that 26, you can no longer be like a dependent on like your parents' healthcare. I'm at 25 right now. I have never paid my mom for my healthcare because I'm under her health insurance.
Okay.
Tell me why the last year that I'm on her healthcare insurance, she decides to charge me.
Damn, that's nuts, actually.
Yeah, she's like, well, it went up, Jack, so you're gonna have to help, blah, blah. I'm like, Mom, why? Like, the last year that I'm on your healthcare, you're gonna charge me? That's bunk. Like,
that's hella wild. Yeah, my mom actually never charged me for healthcare or anything. Matter of fact, she was the one who was on top of me about like trying to get my healthcare going. But I did have something cool because I was working at like a women's shoe store named Aerosols at one point. And then when they just mass fired a whole bunch of people, they actually gave us like $1,000 worth of like health benefits. Ooh. That I've just been running up since. And it's been about like, it's been about like 10 years or something like that.
Yeah, see, and then like this year, the end of this year, I'm gonna have to like start looking into like the healthcare benefits at work, and from what I've heard, they're not the greatest. So I heard that they're really great. The health benefits is really great if you have kids, like for the kids.
Yeah.
Like, but having the kid, God bless. I'm like, oh, okay, great. Like, that's wonderful. But I don't know. I just think like getting older, you realize a lot more things that you're like, okay, well, damn, like I wish I knew this when I was younger, or I wish I knew how to navigate this type of adulting when I was younger.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like you and I have this conversation all the time to where like, you know, especially when tax season hit. And I remember when I was first filling out my taxes, when I had like a legit job, you know, not like an under the table job that was just like paying me whatever.
Yeah.
But when I had to like fill out a W-9, when I was working at that women's shoe store, I was literally like, I don't even know what the hell I'm filling out right now.
Yeah.
And by the time tax season came, you know, my parents had to explain to me like, yeah, so what happens is that like you owe the government money when, you know, you're working. And I'm like, that is hella backwards. The fact that we work hella hard for our own money, then we got to pay the government back.
And they already take taxes from our paycheck. That's even more absurd.
It was nuts. It's nuts. And I honestly think that, I mean, if we get deep into like the way the school system is built, like they just don't teach that.
Yeah, I mean, like, I remember my economics class in, like, my senior year, which I only had one economics class, and it was my senior year, and it was only for half of the school year.
Yeah.
So, like, the first half, like, the first semester, or is it? No, yeah, first semester, I had American...
ASL?
No. It was American, like, history, or, it had to, like, do with all that stuff. And then the second half of the semester to close out the year, you would take economics.
Yeah.
And I remember like you had to pass those classes in order to graduate. But in economics, like I literally could not tell you what that teacher was teaching us.
Oh,
like,
no, I
God
agree.
bless his soul. Like I'm pretty sure he's a great teacher for some people, but it wasn't for me. And Never did we learn about taxes or anything like that. And those are like real world shit that we should be learning in schools. And I just don't understand why. And maybe it's because, you know, it could go into this deeper notion of like, you know, we're going to keep these public schools and these kids that are from these areas like down there. And we're going to give all this information to the kids that are up here and that can afford this tuition that is a private school tuition, you know, and it sucks, but I mean, that's something that I wish we were able to learn in schools.
No, but even more so, like you went to a public school and I went to a private school and we both had our own individual economic classes.
Yeah.
And I didn't learn anything in that economics class because the teacher just didn't know how to teach it. I learned so much more just like watching TikToks or like IG, RIP TikTok, by the way. I learned so much more watching information on the internet and confirming with like our certified personal accountant. And I'm just like, yo, like this is all the information I wish I learned when I was younger.
Yeah.
And I say all that to say, like, you know, I think we live in an age where information is just that much more accessible to where, you know, I feel like when you grew up as like a boomer or even like our parents, like, you know, generations, right? They didn't have access to all this information. I mean, they kind of did, but it wasn't like brought to their faces as much as it is like nowadays, especially if you're actively searching for it, right? Now there's so much information that like people like ourselves, millennials, even Gen Z, like kids who are, I just feel like are significantly smarter than us in that way because they have access to all this information at such an early age.
Yeah, I mean, there's like, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, is the internet bad for these kids that are growing up now, or is it not? And I think it's yes, in some cases it can be bad, but I think for the most part it's beneficial for these kids that are quote unquote woke, you know, if you want to use the terms that older generations like, oh, fuck these woke kids, and oh, everyone want to be woke, blah, blah, blah. Well, we need people that are going to be woke. We need these kids that are coming up because now it's no longer, oh, we're the next generation. No, now we're counting on our cousins, our nieces and our nephews. They are now the people that are going to decide for us.
Yeah, eventually.
Like they're doing it now. Like it's like these kids, like my cousin, I think like in my head, she's still like this 6-year-old with big eyes and she's such a like a kid, but she's about to be 21 and there's kids around her age that are going into politics. And I'm like, shit, like kids her age are now deciding for us. Like that's crazy to me. And it crazy in such a good sense because I feel like for the most part, a lot of these like kids and Gen Zers and like they have a good head on their shoulders for the most part. But I don't know. I think like I said, one of those were the things that I wish we grew up knowing. But I think on a more like
lighter note,
what do you think now entering your 30s that you wish you knew when you were younger?
Honestly, I just wish that I got into the stuff that I'm doing now a lot younger because so I grew up in a very like more how do I say, maybe like a backwards way of like partying and whatnot, because I was partying when I was like 14 because I was like promoting a club back then. It was a teeny bopper club for people who don't know, and I was a teeny bopper back then too, so it wasn't on any weird stuff. Let me just say that right then and there. But you know, I was partying a lot when I was like 14 all the way up to like 16, maybe even 17. And then I got over it by the time I was like in my early 20s, and then I got back into it because of like, you know, this industry that I'm in.
Yeah.
And, you know, for me, I kind of wish that, you know, it's kind of like that Mamba mentality when he's waking up at like 5 o'clock in the morning and then just like getting his reps in all the way throughout the day. I wish that when I was younger, I knew that anything that I wanted to do or anything that I wanted to achieve just came with repetition
and
hard work and doing it over and over again without any, you know, outside distractions or anybody telling you no.
Yeah. I completely agree with that. That's definitely, I think I have a much different like answer for that. Because my whole life I've been so set on doing what I do now. If that makes sense. Like there was no choice but to work hard, go to school, do this, do that. I was very much a by the book kid. And yes, I had my spurts of rebellion, but that would come with consequences. And I was raised in a strict household. Not where I would like get my ass beat, but like where my parents wanted the best for me, you know?
And you cry a little bit.
Oh yeah. Like I cry. But like they wanted the best for me and that's what it was. But I wish I knew, knowing what I know now, I wish I knew two things when I was younger. I wish I knew self-love more.
Okay.
I wish I loved myself more when I was younger because I wish I could have that like back. I wish I could have that innocence back. I wish I could have like my body back when I was in high school. You know, I wish I had that self-love. And I think if I had that self-love when I was younger, my insecurities now wouldn't be as much of an issue for me. And the second thing would be I wish I knew how powerful my voice could be. I wish that I knew I could say no. I wish that I knew I could be assertive. I wish I could be aggressive without coming off as a bitch, you know?
Yeah.
I was told like pretty much every day in high school, my sophomore year, and then on, that I was a bitch like every day. Everyone like knew that. And it was because I was going through things. And whether people knew that or not, like I just wish that I knew that my voice meant something and that I could have found it earlier. I think I've now, and you know this, like I think now I've had my voice since the beginning of this year of being like, no, you know, I'm tired of dealing with this BS and I'm going to say no and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that and I'm going to be assertive and I'm going to like set my boundaries. I wish I knew how to do that when I was younger.
Yeah. No, I feel that. I feel like that's something that a lot of people really struggle with when they're younger because it's hard to find your voice, especially when you have so many people around you that are literally like talking and chit-chatting and trying to like, you know, also find their way at the same time.
Yeah. And especially like growing up in brown households too. That's definitely a thing, you know. It's hard to find your voice in a brown household.
Especially when everyone's loud. Literally and figuratively, it is so hard to find your voice
in a brown household because you are raised to think, okay, if I try and rebuttal this or if I try and like make a defense for what I did, I'm talking back.
Yeah.
It's you don't talk to your parents that way. You respect me. And then, like respect is earned and not given. That's like everyone says that. Yes, I respect my parents, like the hell out of my parents. But there were times where I was just kind of like, okay, like where's my respect? Yeah. You know, as your kid, give me the respect. Give me the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally hear that. I do also think that when it comes to your voice, which is something that you utilize every single day as your profession, I feel like it's always like this taboo thing of trying to pursue your dreams when you're like in your mid-20s or even like early 30s. Like, is that still taboo or is that something that we've just fully accepted that we can pursue our dreams in our mid-20s, early 30s, and even later? I
feel like it's now more of an acceptable thing. It's like it's not taboo anymore. And I think I speak with the best intentions of saying like I have parents that are very understanding. And I like not everybody's parents are understanding, you know, not everybody's parents look at a content creator or a videographer and be like, that's what you want to do with your life. Like not everyone's parents are like, yeah, you go mijo, you go mija, like you do that, like, and you're going to be the best at it. No, not everyone's parents are like that. Realistically, no.
Yeah.
But I think growing up the way that I did and being so determined that my parents kind of were just like, well, we gotta let her.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I had a very much, and my parents have said this before to me and to you, where it's like, I'm gonna do whatever the hell I want.
Mm-hmm.
You know? They could tell me no, moving out. They could tell me no, but they can't physically stop me from doing it.
Yeah.
So I think, like, pursuing your dreams now as, like, a millennial and a Gen Z, like it's easier because a lot of us don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
A lot of us are just like, you know what? I'm gonna do it, and if I fail, I fail.
And honestly, I think that's the key factor of it, just really not giving a fuck. I think for the most part, people care too much to the point to where they just don't want to do it, or they fear of this idea that like everything has to be perfect.
Yeah.
You know, because like I'm believe me, I've been through a couple of ventures where I'm just like, well, it didn't work, this didn't work, this didn't work, but I had to go through all these things. Like, for instance, I was working for like a men's fashion magazine at one point. I was just interning just to kind of see like where it would go, and it honestly just didn't work out. I didn't see it as a waste of time because it honestly got my journalism skills up, and it got me to a point to where I would be able to explain things a lot more thoroughly, and especially things that I wasn't necessarily into. I had to figure out how to sell, and I'm just like, dude, this is insane.
Yeah.
But I say all that to say, like, you know, now in my 30s, you know, pursuing music and, you know, putting my foot on the gas when it comes to it, like, I've never felt more confident than ever. Like, you could have asked me 12, 13 years ago when I was 18 years old, like, did you ever want to be a musician? And I would have said yes, but I would have told you that I'm too scared to like do it because I didn't have the umph in me to want to do it at that time.
Yeah. And I think there's like there's a difference between people who want to pursue their dreams and people who want to pursue their dreams to become famous.
Yes.
And I think that we live in a world that's such like a quick like turnaround.
Yeah.
That it's very easy for someone to pop off of one video, you know, and then now, oh, I'm in my content creator era. You know, or a singer, one video can change your life, and I've seen, you know, that happen for people very close to us. But it's what you do with that moment. If you don't have the hard work, the dedication, that Mamba mentality that you were talking about, then what the hell is it for? If you're just doing this just to get like famous, if you're just doing this just to be an overnight sensation, you're going to weed yourself out very fucking quickly.
Yeah. You know what's interesting about this idea of, you know, being famous or just being someone who is just extremely talked about? I was with my friend DJ Intern last night, and someone who I went to college with, y'all. Super cool guy, super dope DJ. Probably one of the better like scratch DJs that I know personally. But he was asking me like, hey, so, you know, he blatantly just asked me like, what's it like being famous, bro? And I'm like, first of all, like, I'm not anybody famous, right? I'm just a regular person who just likes to podcast, likes to make music, and likes to DJ. And I like to tell everybody and put that in front of everybody. That's all I like to do, right? And so the weird part is when it comes to, you know, going out in public and then, you know, people saying what's up. I love it, don't get me wrong. But I told him that I've gotten a sliver of whatever this idea of fame is, right? Like, you could call me like a F-list celebrity, right? Like, realistically, maybe even like G or H, right? But I think one thing that isn't talked about, especially in an era where it's all about like, let me put myself on YouTube, let me put myself on like IG and TikTok, is privacy or the lack thereof. Like, you know, when it comes to entertainment, you put yourself out there so much. Even on this podcast, we put ourselves out there so much to where like, how much of ourselves are we supposed to give to everybody else? Because if we give every ounce of ourselves to everybody else, we won't essentially know who we are anymore because we literally lost it by giving it to everybody else.
Not that we lost it. I think it's more that we don't know what we can keep for ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, what, like, okay, it's like, now does this become, and this, I had this struggle too of like, okay, what can I share with the people that I work with without making it a topic of the day, you know?
Yeah.
What can I say about our relationship without having to say it on the podcast? Or like, you know, I mean, luckily we don't have too many arguments.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're very blessed in that sense of we just understand each other that well. But I mean, I wouldn't want to be the type of person to come on here on the podcast and be like, oh, okay, well, Nico did this week and da-da-da-da and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
like,
that wouldn't be cool.
Yeah, like, it's like there's certain things that we need to keep to ourselves. And I think for this day and age of social media, it's like, it's the likes and the clicks are very much like a drug. It's a drug.
It really is.
Likes, comments, shares, reposts is a drug. And I don't know, it's pretty crazy to think that like a lot of these social media outlets and people that want to get famous overnight don't really understand the grasp of it.
Yeah. I mean, I think when it comes to big media companies like promoting like the stupid shit, really, and we all have seen a video or something on the internet that we can classify as like, this is some stupid ass shit. Like, it's actually, to me, is very sad to see these things because we glorify, you know, stupidity in that sense.
Yeah.
You know, I remember reading an article one time and it explained the differences between American cartoons versus like Japanese cartoons, for example, right? Like anime. When you watch any sort of anime, whether it be like a single episode or something that is a season in its entirety, there is always a message. There is always something that you are going to learn from it. Like Death Note, for example.
Yeah.
So if you guys don't know the premise of Death Note, let me just give you the elevator pitch. A man has the power to kill anybody instantaneously. However, he is only killing bad people. Is it a good thing that he's killing only bad people? Or is it a bad thing that he's killing people in general? Because the police are not handling it or whoever's not handling it.
Yeah.
And that's just one anime. You want to compare it to like, and don't get me wrong, I love me some SpongeBob. But God knows I can't pick apart any sort of like idea or like, you know, like meaningful message or moral from SpongeBob.
Yeah. Like it's I mean, I think that's also why too, like my parents growing up, they never let me watch like South Park, or they never let me watch like Family Guy or whatever that type of like, and maybe I missed out on it. Yeah, maybe I did, but
you definitely did on Family Guy and South Park.
Well, but I think like I grew up, you know, learning other stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I did watch SpongeBob and it was stupid and funny, but like I watched shows that like had to do with family and had to do with like learning a lesson, you know, and I don't know. It's just, it's different growing up and being a kid and then going to adult. Being an adult sucks.
Yeah, I mean,
like paying rent and shit is just not it.
It's horrible. You know what's funny is that like, I got a real high dose of reality and I actually loved adulting because this happened this past weekend, y'all. I love adulting because of how actually chill it is. It is so chill if you can get to that point.
Yeah, I mean, there are certain things that like that I do as an adult now that I'm just like, okay, thank God. Like,
yeah, let me tell y'all what happened this weekend. Like, we went to my friend's like kid's birthday party. We went to the park to take Benny and like have him like frolic with the other dogs. And then we went to the grocery store and literally I turned to Jackie at the end of the night and I was like, wow, like I actually love today. Yeah. And I love the fact that we're going to do laundry tomorrow because it's going to be so chill.
Yeah, and like honestly, like adulting is just realizing that being home and in your bed and quiet is the most like peaceful serenity that you can reach.
Oh, hell yeah.
Like
hell yeah.
if I do not have to go out, I will not go out.
Yeah.
I love being an adult in that sense. Like being an adult is like getting excited over like those videos that you see on Instagram of like cleaning hacks or like organizers for your pantry, for your plates, or for like, oh my gosh, I just love it's like porn to me. It's like,
whoa.
No, it's literally like it's like so relaxing, and it's just like, oh my god, like yes, I want that like placemat. Like I want that placemat.
Okay. Well, cleaning supplies on Instagram is apparently porn to Jackie. Let me just.
It's like
I'll put sponges and everything like, all around the room. Then
no, it's like like those useful gadgets that are like, oh my god, like that's so cool. Like I want to have that, like organizers, and then like certain like. I don't know. It's just like, it's so like, oh my god, like I get so excited off of cleaning videos, and I'm just like, yes.
Well, you remember that dish holder that I've been trying to buy?
Yes.
So y'all, it's a dish holder that literally goes above the sink, and it's like 3 or 4 levels that hold like pots and pans, forks, knives, plates, pot, everything. Everything.
There's like something that you can put like your plates on too, or like your sponge, your dish soap sponge, and it's like a stone, a type of stone, and then it's like a drying stone, so it automatically dries.
That's lit.
That's super cool. I want one of those.
Yeah, I mean, adulting is extremely underrated. Adulting is underrated.
Don't get me wrong. We still fucking hate doing our taxes. Like, not all adulting is fun.
Yeah. That's the bad side of it. That's the overrated part.
Yeah. I'm trying to look up like gadgets, like home gadgets. Like there's like things that like in people's homes that just make sense. And there's a lady who oh my god, wait, let me see if I can find it. Things in my home that make sense. Okay. In like a Japanese home, like, so there's this one, and she has like a ventilation like window in the kitchen.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Right?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And then her cabinets or her doors are all sliding doors to prevent like more space being used up. She has a rice cooker built into her oven, which is insane.
The hell?
Yeah, it's crazy. There's other people who have like I envy people who have their kitchen trash as a drawer.
Oh yeah, no, that's gas. That's so good. I
literally want that. Oh, and then there was there's this TikTok creator, Vidya, who I follow. Her husband, oh no, it's not Vidya, it's somebody else. But her husband built her like a faucet right above the oven, like the stovetop on the wall. So that way when she needs to put water in a pot, she just pulls it out and then she puts it back into the wall.
Oh shit.
It's so cool.
That's lit.
It's freaking lit. I'm like, wow, I need that in my life.
All this reminds me of like, you've seen those videos where I feel like it's literally just in Japan, but they have like the beds that get pulled out from the wall.
Oh yeah, see, I can't do that.
No, though. I want that so bad.
No, I can't do that.
That is such a space saver right there. I would kill for that.
This is what I mean. Like, so if you need to put water in the bowl, to make pasta.
Oh, that's lit.
Then,
okay.
Like,
so it's a little bit of like a yeah.
Cool.
I see it. It's basically a leveled faucet. A multi-leveled faucet, y'all.
Yeah,
that's pretty nuts.
Look, that's so cool.
No, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I like that.
That's sick. That's what I want.
I mean, that's just some rich people shit at that point.
I want to build my own home.
Okay. Well,
I want to build a home so that way I could just have everything that I want in there.
Okay.
And then there's a cutting board. Oh, somebody has a cutting board that goes out of like their like island, their kitchen island. And then there's like a little space so that way you can just toss everything inside the kitchen trash that's in the pull-out drawer too.
Okay, you got to show me a video of that because I can't really imagine that, but it's all good.
Yeah,
it's
fine.
all good.
It's fine.
Speaking of big ass houses, Jackie actually saw a random video this week about like this mom talking about she would charge her kids for rent.
Oh yeah. Oh, so let me actually bring that up real quick because I kind of want you guys to hear the audio from this. Hopefully I saved it. Oh yeah. Here. Let's listen to this real quick. Oh, hold on.
Your 18-year-old rent is not making them any more responsible than if you didn't charge them rent. Everyone always tries to say that, oh, like it's teaching them responsibility because what are they going to do when they move out? They're going to pay their rent. Even if they moved out without you ever charging them rent, they're not just going to not pay it because you never charged them rent. It's the same thing. Like if they go grocery shopping one day on their own, they're not just going to not buy their groceries or pay for them because you never taught them how. Like they're going to do it. And using the excuse that somebody may struggle later and not be able to pay their rent is very different because that can happen to anybody, whether you made your kid pay you rent or not. I totally understand that times are tough and maybe you might need help or your child's help to help you pay the rent. But if you like purposely choose a house that you cannot afford and you know you cannot afford it, but you can if you charge your child your 18-year-old rent, then you're just taking advantage of them. Honestly, your child should not be having to pay half of your rent for you. Honestly, the only thing that's going to cause is that your child is going to feel guilty for wanting to leave when they're an adult because they feel like they have to stay there to help you pay your rent. You know that your kid is not going to want to leave if they know that they are responsible for half the rent, and if they leave, you can't pay it. So honestly, like you're doing a big disservice to your child by doing that because you know you're making them feel guilty and you really do not care.
Yeah. Okay.
So this woman was saying, like, she was discussing whether or not people should charge their kids rent. I don't believe that that parents should be charging their kids rent. Mm-hmm. I mean, you are their parent. You are supposed to provide a roof over their head, food, and everything else. Now, I do understand that there are certain things that your child can pay for once they have a job. And like, example, when I was growing up, my parents never charged me rent, but they would say, hey, you're going to pay your insurance on your car. Mm-hmm. You know, you're going to pay your phone bill. Mm-hmm. You're going to do these things because guess what? You got a job now.
Yeah.
So that I fully understand. But I don't see myself being the type of parent charging my kid rent.
Yeah, I don't see that either. I just think it's a completely backwards thing. Mm-hmm. And you know, I feel like especially because of what that woman was saying too, like if you're in a situation where you know, got a luxurious apartment or a luxurious condo or whatever that is clearly out of like your pay grade, but you expect your kid to pay for like half of it or a portion of it, you obviously just put yourself in a position where you are forcing your kid to make money and pay your rent, which I don't think is really fucking cool. Like, I don't think that's cool at all. And, you know, going back to it, like, I just feel like as an adult who is a parent, like, you're supposed to take care of your child. You're supposed to make sure that, again, they have a roof over their head. Otherwise, like, you know, if they need something to fall back on, it's gonna have to be their parents, like, without a doubt.
Yeah, 1,000%. And like, it's crazy to see all the comments on this, like, on this post too, because a lot of these people were saying that they charge their kids rent, and then some people were saying, well, it's not rent, it's them contributing. It's like, your kid shouldn't have to contribute. Your kid shouldn't have to have these worries of like, oh my God, if I don't make rent, Am my parents gonna kick me out? No, they're your fucking kid. Like, you are supposed to provide them with these basic necessities of living.
Yeah.
You chose to have this kid. Now, some people didn't choose to have their kids, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, you are responsible for this kid up until they're 18 legally. But I will say this. My kid ain't living rent free if they're 27 and not going to school.
I think that's like a different, because that's such a different scenario, because my parents always told me this. They said, you can live here rent free as long as you go to school. And if you get a job, you handle like all your food, you handle like all this extra stuff, you handle maintenance on your car, you handle the gas and whatever. And it wasn't a new car. It was like a 93 Honda Accord, 96 Honda Accord. So it was a hand-me-down that I just had to take care of afterwards, which I was perfectly fine with because I didn't want to deal with no car payments. I was like, cool, I'll take a free car.
Yeah.
But, I say all that to say, like, I think it's important for the adults and the parents in this situation to remind themselves that they are the adults, that they are the parents. They are supposed to supply like more life for these kids.
Yeah.
Now, when you hit 25, 26, and when you obviously move out, when you have a big boy job, or if you don't have a big boy job and you're just fucking 26, 27, like living at home, I would have to say that I think you should supply something.
I will say that, like, I think if I had not moved out of my parents' house when I did, I think I would probably be paying rent now. I have a full-time job, and I know there's going to be people out there that are going to be like, oh, well, she sounds like she lives at home rent-free, blah, 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 blah. No, I live I'm not going to say on my own. I live with my partner, obviously, but we split this rent. We split our groceries. So no, I know what the hell I'm talking about. And I would be completely okay if I was living at home and my parents decided to charge me rent because I have a full-time job, because I have a big girl job, But I think a lot of these parents that charge their kids rent, they talk about like, oh, well, we're teaching them responsibility. We're teaching them this. Where's your responsibility? Where's your responsibility as a parent to provide for your kid? Like, where's that? Did I just fly out the door? Like,
yeah, no, I actually 1,000% agree with that. And I feel like that's something that wasn't even talked about.
Yeah. And I think also too, like, as brown people, I think growing up with our parents growing up, they were very much treated like, oh, well, you got to contribute. You got to do this. You got to do that. I know that my mom and my dad, like, they had to contribute and for not only their families, but for themselves too. So it was a very different time growing up, but we got to break that cycle.
Yeah,
like, we can't be our grandparents. We can't be our parents.
Yeah. And honestly, no shade to like, your family or like even my family. Cause again, my dad is like one of 8. Jackie's mom is like one of 8 or something like that.
She's one of 6. My grandma is like one of 12 or 16.
Yeah, so like, that is an insane amount of like people for one specific household, right? Yeah. So, of course, when you have like that many children, there's gonna be a conversation of how am I gonna pay for all these children to live. So of course you're gonna have situations where it's like, well, you gotta start paying, because frankly, having 12 children is like pretty much unaffordable. You literally can't afford to do that.
No matter what like era you were raised in.
Yeah, and frankly, I just think that, and not to say like, not to throw shade at like Jackie's family or even my family, but to me, that's just a little irresponsible. I just kind of feel like, my mom was like one of one.
Yeah, she's literally the only child.
She's the only one. And my grandparents, they had their time raising my mom. Me and my sister, we're 2 of 2. I'm one of 2 and she's one of 2. So we're 2 of 2 in total. But you get what I'm saying? Like, that's more than enough than what my parents could handle. And they understood that right off the bat.
Yeah. And I think like us, like being responsible and having this responsibility, that this lady was talking about in the video, was like, I've told Nico, and because he's my partner, I've told him like, hey, you know what? I think I'd be okay with just having 1 kid. Maybe 2. Like, it depends. Like, if we could knock out 2 and have twins, that's great.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I think our responsibility now is to respectfully, in the most respectful way possible, not be our parents.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Not be our grandparents, not be the ones before them. I think our responsibility is to live our lives in the most like fruitful way possible.
Yeah. And I think that's the one thing that isn't necessarily one, I don't think it's like drilled enough in people's heads. And two, there's also situations where it's just kind of uncontrollable, like my grandpa's like currently going through something with his physical health right now, and I totally wish that I could be there back home. And thankfully, like my mom and even my dad is there to like help him out, like especially while I'm not physically there, right? Yeah. And so there are limitations that go on in this world that can prevent you from like living your best life, so to speak, right? Because everyone's always preaching that, like, live your best life, YOLO, so on and so forth. And there is difficulty that comes with it because, I would have to say that I'm in a situation where I'm a lot more blessed to say that, like, I can do everything that I do on a daily basis, for the most part, without like fear of like anything that's around me or like other responsibilities.
Yeah.
And that's kind of that's a very blessed situation, right?
Right.
And so, all I'm saying is like for people who aren't in that type of particular situation, right? There are instances in which you can find yourself exercising your YOLO, exercising your live your life to the fullest type situation. And that comes with like the littlest things. Like it comes with, go ahead and pursue like this random like artsy drawing thing that you've always just wanted to do. That goes with taking up like, lash tech school because you have like peace like doing lashes. That goes with like buying a piano and just like learning how to play piano on like a daily basis for like 15 minutes every day. Like doing all these small things adds up to the bigger picture. And honestly, just doing what I do every day, it just comes from like experience. It's not me just like pulling shit out of my ass. This is actually coming from experience to where like if you do something for at least like 10 minutes a day, 15, 20 minutes, like it puts you in a position where you feel so much more complete because you're actually dedicating time to something that you enjoy doing.
You sounded so old right now.
And that's me turning 31, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I'm saying. I mean, it's I will preach this to the day that I die, that like,
man.
you know what I mean? But I'll preach this to the day that I die, that you have to do what you love or at least something that you enjoy every single day, because at the end of the day, it's your life.
Yeah.
The only person that's going to spend the most time with you is you. It's not your partner. No offense, babe. It's not your partner. It's not your parents. It's not your grandparents. It's not your sister. If you're a twin, it's not your freaking twin. It's not your dog. It's not nobody but yourself for 24/7.
Yeah.
Literally. So the more you give yourself to other people and you give your happiness to other people, you need to remind yourself that you need to get that happiness back for yourself. It's okay to be selfish every so often. It's okay to eat that cookie that Jackie's eating on the podcast right now. Like, it's literally okay.
Way to call me out.
But it's okay to take some time out of your day and deplug from social media. It's okay to be selfish and listen to that random Mexipino podcast again for the third time, or watch that Office episode that makes you happy, even though you've watched it for like the 10th time in like 12 years or something like that.
Yeah.
It's literally okay. Just make sure that it is actually something that you enjoy and love.
Period. Go off. I don't even know what to like go off of like with that.
Can I say this one more thing?
What?
This one last thing. Like, I saw a really inspirational video the other day, and I've just kept this in mind like throughout the entire podcast. But one thing that I do urge everybody to do, hopefully if you got to the end of this podcast, is that I want you to get 100 hours in of whatever you love to do. Right? Now, that sounds crazy because I'm saying 100 hours. But if you take 15 minutes a day, every single day, for an entire year, that adds up to 100 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's easy, right?
Easy. It sounds easy enough.
It sounds easy because if everyone looks at their phones and you look at that little screen time thing, more than likely you're on your phone for like at least 15 minutes a day. Yeah. So if you take that 15 minutes and you apply it to something that you actually love, a skill or whatever, like you will become, at least according to this video, you will become better than 98% of the people that want to do that and haven't tried.
Interesting. That's a good way to promote doing what you love.
15 minutes a day, that's easy.
15 minutes a day.
Yeah. And I'm 31, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you stream At It Again, Nico Blitz, Johnny Maxwell. It's on Spotify, Apple Music, and everything.
Stream it. Stream At It Again for Nico's birthday.
I might make it a thing to where I want to drop a song like every year on my birthday. We'll see.
Ooh,
yeah. Cool. I don't know how like Saturday and Sunday releases work, but we'll see. This is a Thursday release, so hopefully it works.
Hopefully. It will.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys. Also for, my birthday, I'm so thankful that to have been part of like such a dope platform that Jackie and I have built together with you guys as well, because if it wasn't for you guys listening, we wouldn't have an audience. We wouldn't have people who love to listen to us like either bullshit, talk about cool stuff, or talk about inspirational stuff, or have our like cool ass guests on here.
Yeah.
So I want to thank each and every one of y'all from the bottom of my heart that at 31 years old, like I feel like that much more support from everybody. And I can't wait to see like how our Mexipino family continues to grow. So, share this podcast with your best friend. Share this podcast with your mom, your tia, your tío, your tita, your tito, your ata baby, your kuya boy, everything.
Tita boys, everyone.
My name is Nico Blitz.
And I'm Jackie Ramirez.
And this is the Mexipino podcast. We are out, everybody. Peace.
Sorry, I was yawning.